that we start by apologizing for running a bit late. We've scheduled the briefing for 1:30. It's almost 15 minutes late now. But yeah, we want to apologize for that. I think we were held up because this is really one of those processes that the chairperson treats very dearly and she wants to be thorough, so that nothing everything goes according to plan. So we want to place that apology on record. I think before colleagues, I hand to the chairperson, is that we've been experiencing some printing glitches, and now that's the reason why we were delayed. And we are now about to start. We're just waiting for the committee secretary to bring some key documentation that the chairperson is going to use for this briefing. So we're just asking humbly for 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay. Okay, colleagues. I'm going to hand over quickly to the chairperson. It looks like the documentation has arrived electronically as opposed to hard copy. So the chairperson will do that now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once more, let me apologize for this. We were also trying to accommodate civil society structures as they had requested that we extend the time for public comments. So we decided that let's rather try and finish off everything now so that we can give more time for public to comment on the names. But without further ado, let me just make this announcement to you that the Ad Hoc Committee established to nominate a person for the appointment of public protector placed adverts in newspapers, calling upon members of the public to nominate suitable candidates for appointment as public protector. The nomination process opened on the 3rd June and closed on the 24th June 2016. The committee received a total of 73 nominations and applications. 7 candidates, including Ms. Gracia Mashal, Advocate Gerinel, and former Finance Minister Mr. Nhlanhla Nene, are among those who declined their nominations. There were other verbal nominations, such as the former President Thabo Mbeki, former Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke, Advocate Tumisani Sebenza. These nominations were not formally sent to the committee, and they have been subsequently declined. And it's not a reflection on the individuals concerned, but we're just saying we needed to act on written nominations. The committee is very impressed with the caliber of nominees and applicants received, and says this is an indication that South Africans thoroughly applied their minds in putting forward their nominees. The names and CVs of candidates can be accessed via Parliament's website and social media platforms. When you click on a person's name, it will take you to a candidate's CV. Members of the public are thus encouraged to scrutinize these names and CVs and send their comments or objections to vramano@parliament.gov.za for the attention of Mr. Bonani Ramano. The deadline for comments or objections is Friday, 8 July 2016. Remember, I had indicated that we were only going to give members of the public just 1 week. You can see now that the days have been extended a bit. So I think that is consistent with our, high regard for the comments of the members of the public. Candidates will further receive a questionnaire to complete and return to the committee. The information obtained from questionnaires will be used as supplementary information in order to assist the committee with shortlisting and interviewing. Questionnaires will be sent to candidates from tomorrow, 29 June, and are expected to be returned to the committee by no later than 8 July 2016. Once more, we want to appeal to the people who will be making comments and objections to disclose their identity in order to authenticate their submissions. It should also be borne in mind that objections against the nominee or applicants will not be automatically used to eliminate a particular candidate. The committee will thus follow due process in validating such objections. Once the comments and objection process is closed, the committee will commence with the shortlisting process, the details of which will be communicated in due time. Interviews are still scheduled to take place after the August 2016 local government elections. The list of nominations, we are going to make them available to you. I'm not sure if I think Bonani has them. I'm not gonna go through all the names of people, there is 73 in total, but please note that in this list, we do not have the names that were either communicated to us through media or social media or something like that. We only focus on the names where there was a formal nomination process followed. So Bonani will be distributing that to you. And we really would like to appreciate the role that has been played by the media as well in popularizing this campaign so that we get the best person for the job. The committee undertook that the citizens and the NGO sector we listen to what they have to say in terms of the questions that they may be recommending and so forth. Of course, we are not going to be able to take all the questions that are going to be recommended by members of the public, but as much as possible, we will try to standardize questions so that there is no candidate that has an advantage over the other. So we are trying as much as possible to make the process as fair, transparent as possible. So for any questions, you can ask me here, or after this, you can ask Bonani or Temba. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think just on the issue of the names, we will make those available, Chair, because I think it's important. But let me not waste time and take a round of questions. Colleagues, this is an opportunity for questions now. Okay, Craig.
Chairperson, you said 7 nominees had declined their nomination. Does that mean the names remaining on the list, those people have all been contacted and have accepted their nomination? Thanks.
I think let's do this the standard way, colleagues. Let's have a round of hands. Introduce your name in the media house you're from, and then we throw the questions to the chair. We'll take the first round of 4 hands now. It's Yan, Andy Siwe, and we're coming back to you, Abong.
Thank you, sir. Yan Nyubauer, Sunday Times. The question I have to you, Chair, is whether you or any other ANC member of this committee has been in consultation with anyone representing Lutule House or the Department of Justice regarding a possible preferential candidate for the ANC.
In that order, colleagues, the next speaker was.
Andisiwe Makinana from City Press. Chairperson, are you saying the names will be on the Parliament website? Where else are they going to be published? Is Parliament website sufficient for people to get access and be able to correspond with Parliament, or are you going to publish them, I don't know, on radio, newspapers? In terms of access to internet in South Africa, is that sufficient?
It's Abra of the SABC. It also relates to the website. When exactly are those names going to go up? Is it after this process now? And then a point of clarity, the questionnaires need to be returned by the 8th of July, and the 8th of July is the deadline for public comment. Is that correct?
I'll hand over to the chairperson to deal with the first round of questions, and then we'll take the second round.
Timber, I didn't get the first question, but I got all the other questions. I just want to make sure that I answer your question, sir. If you could just repeat that question.
Sorry, I also forgot to say I'm Craig Dodds from Independent Newspapers. The question was, you said that the seven nominees had declined their nomination. I just wanted to check for clarity whether that means the remainder of people have been contacted and accepted their nomination.
Thank you very much. Basically, what has happened is that we received nominations, and the nominations that we have considered are those nominations that were in writing. And some of those nominations were not accompanied by CVs. And in that case, we would also, on our side, we would try and get hold of the nominee to check if they accept the nomination and to ask them to forward the CV. In certain instances, yes, those people have actually said they appreciate the nomination. I'm sure you've probably heard of some of them through the media and so forth. But some of them, we have not been able to reach them. And I had given the administration until the end of business yesterday to contact those that were nominated, but who could not, to get the more information from them. Unfortunately, we have to finalize the list, and those that we could not reach, we then decided that their names are going to fall off. However, that still leaves us with a very large number, and if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be over 65, if I'm not mistaken, if we manage those people. Okay. The second question from Jan. Jan, yes, the question that you are asking is a very tricky question. But let me just tell you this. Obviously, I am a member of the ANC. And I don't want to say to you, no, I'm not communicating with the members of the ANC. Otherwise, where do I operate from? But in as far as the specific process is concerned, I can tell you that the No Lutuli House has contacted me or directed me to speak to anybody or whatsoever. The only thing that I have been doing has been to consistently brief my whip in terms of how far is the process. And like any key individual, whether a speaker or anybody else who wants to know how is the process going, I have to tell them that this is how the process is going. I have not yet been lobbied, and I hope it would stay that way. And that's the answer to your question. The other question is whether the internet, publishing the names on the website is sufficient. I am also calling on all of you that are here to also assist us in making sure that the names are going out there. I'm hoping that some of the media houses, especially print media that are here, if they could also print these names so that they are known. Remember, you are also our partners. We are not antagonists. We're working together in this. We are all trying to get the best public protector. So, yes, we are going to have this in the social platforms and the website. Obviously, I can't say to you that that is sufficient. We will be, and as you know, since this process started, probably more than any other processes of appointing the public protector before, I've actually communicated with every kind of radio station you can think of in South Africa, community radio stations and so forth. And as much as possible, if they are giving me time to communicate their names, I will do so, because I think it is in the best interest of South Africans. Regarding the 8th of July, being the closing date for the candidates, for the comments from members of the public, as well as a closing date for the nominees to respond to our questionnaires. Yes, we have this date I can confirm, and the reason being that as much as possible, we would like to have the shortlisting of candidates to take place soon thereafter. I cannot give you the date as yet because we need to ascertain whether the members' availability. This is an election year. It's not gonna be easy to get all of them here, but we're hoping that they will be able to sacrifice one day, you know, of their hectic schedule, election schedule, to be here so that we can actually decide on how best we are going to approach the issues of shortlisting. Remember, this is a multi-party process. In as much as I am the chairperson, I have no powers to decide on my own on who has to make it on the shortlist. So it's going to be, ultimately, it is the process of the multi-party process that is going to decide on who gets shortlisted and how we are going to approach the interviewing process and so forth. I have this morning been with, I was invited by the Southern African Catholic Bishops Conference, and there were some very interesting comments that came out of that, and I am promising that we shall be taking that to the committee to consider, the Ad Hoc Committee to consider, because I think that they will enhance the process. Thank you.
Right, we start the second round. Abongwe, Marianne, Bonga.
Abongo Kobogana from the SABC Radio News. Chairperson, just clarity on the issue of vetting. Perhaps my question is premature, subject to correction to you. You said in your earlier briefing that there are certain members that you will need their consent for their particulars to be made public. Were there any of them who asked for that? If they did, who are they and what were the reasons? Thanks.
Hi, Marianne Merton, Daily Maverick. Just a question for clarification. 73 nominations were received, one way or the other, right? Minus 7 that were disqualified, or are we looking at 73 nominations accepted with all the right paperwork? I just don't want there to be a misunderstanding on my behalf. Yeah, thank you.
Bonga Dlane from ENCA. Just a point of clarification, Chairperson. Does the public protector need to have a legal qualification in order to be appointed, or it does not a requirement? Thank you.
We will take one extra hand, I think Gay, and then we take the third round.
Thanks. Thanks, Chair. Gay Davis, Eyewitness News. Chair, I wonder if you could just comment for us on how tricky, perhaps, or a task this is. I mean, for you, given the track record of the current public protector and the kind of head-on collisions, if you like, that she has had in carrying out her mandate and the findings that have gone against particularly government, and that's the ANC, as we know, and now you as the ANC. the chair and have a majority on this committee. For people out there, do you want to comment on whether this is a really difficult job for you, and deal with concerns people may or may not have about whether the next public protector is going to be a lapdog or somebody who will carry out their mandate, much as Mononsela has done?
Okay, thanks. I just want to, before I hand over to the chair, Marian, your question was that we need to clarify exactly the number of nominees, including the ones that were declined, received either way.
To put it simply, how many nominations are now in the pool for shortlisting?
Okay.
Done.
Thank you.
Okay, let me start by answering the question by Bonga. The vetting process. Remember, part of we've always been clear about making sure that this process is transparent and that the information is going to be available to the members of the public to scrutinize the CVs of the nominees. But the only issue was that there may be other information such as the number of dependents or telephone numbers of people. And I'm sure most of you might have received calls from people advertising something because they picked up your phone somewhere and that kind of thing. We were trying to avoid that, basically. But as far as this process is concerned, I must tell you that this morning, when I engage with civic society at this meeting that I attended this morning, I was actually persuaded to have the ID number, also being part of that information that is going to be made available to the members of the public. The reason being that if you wanted to check the qualifications, verify the qualifications or whatever, you need that ID or whatever. Now, I think we shouldn't spend a lot of time or, trying to say, no, we can't do this or that. I think the most important thing is to ensure that this process is as transparent as possible and that all the people that have been nominated are subjected to public scrutiny. After all, this is the public protector position. As much as possible, if you are going onto our website and maybe you need the ID or whatever, you can always phone Mr. Romano to give you the ID of that specific individual if you want more information, because we had requested him to delete the ID number and the telephone numbers for the information that was uploaded in the system. But subsequently, I realized that the ID number is going to be very important for people to verify. After all, there are so many people who may share the same names. And we are also trying to address that aspect. So I think that that would be my answer to your question about the vetting. But also the other thing that is important is that there will be the next phase of vetting, which will be, we will do our own vetting, as I said, where we verify the qualifications and so forth. We are going to be working with some institutions who are going to assist us in terms of getting that information, in terms of making sure that we have, that the nominees have given us the information that they claim to have. So, but over and above that, there is another process of vetting that is not in our hands, which is the State Security Agency vetting. And I won't be able to comment on that one. Regarding the number of people that that are now going to make it in the list, advised that it's going to be 59. If we minus the people that have declined and those that have that we have not been able to conduct by the end of business yesterday. The legal qualification, I mean, if you look at the position of public protector and probably drawing from the precedents that we have, the first public protector, Judge Selby Pakwa, was a legal fundi, and the second public protector was an advocate, Advocate Mushwana. The third public protector was also an advocate. To me, it suggests that, there is already a precedence, besides that, if you are going to be somebody who must command that fit and proper, we know that in the legal profession, that is a prerequisite. So we are encouraging those. However, we are not excluding those who are allowed in terms of the act to apply. But we are saying that there is already a precedence, and as much as possible, I'm hoping that my committee will also agree with me that we do need somebody who understands the law, because in most instances in these cases, you've got to have your own. You can't be relying on other people to interpret the statutes for you. Sometimes you have to take a decision on your feet or whatever. And I think it's going to be important that we have that. So I'm not sure whether the committee will agree with me, but I do think that legal qualification might be a good starting point to eliminate or to shortlist the candidates, because obviously we need one public protector out of 59. We must have a criteria, obviously. We must have a way of eliminating some of those nominees. Thank you. Regarding the track record. Yeah. Admittedly, this is not an easy process. It's not an easy process because there are assumptions that are made already. I mean, this morning I was watching ETV and I saw something that was public protector or puppet, and already I said, oh my God, there's already an assumption there. And how do I, as the chairperson of this committee, ensure that we do not get the person that is going to be a puppet? One thing I can tell you for sure, ultimately, the person who is going to emerge out of this process will have to find his or her own moral compass and decide, am I going to allow myself to be a puppet, or am I going to be the public protector? No matter who we come up with, the Constitution is very clear about the person who has to be the public protector. Must be somebody who meets the fit and proper criteria, must be somebody who will act without fear, favor, or prejudice. And I think it's upon the person who will ultimately make it out of this process. It's not my process. It's going to be that person, how they decide to take this position forward. And I'm sure you will agree with me. When Matonsela was appointed, in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, 2009. I'm sure most of you didn't even know much about her. It's what you do in that position. Even with Selby Pakwa, some of us didn't know much about that Selby Pakwa. It's what the person's moral compass is, the one that is a defining factor. And I think I'm now saying to all the nominees, it's not Makosi Koza that is going to do your job. You do your job, serve the people of the Republic. Thank you.
All right, we are going to take another round. And Chair, I'm mindful of the time. I think this should be the last round, but we will gauge. We're starting with Lubabalo and the Siwe. And yeah. Yan and Abongwe, the last one.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Babalo from the Sunday Times. Just clarity on Bonga's question on legal qualifications. Is it too early to tell whether the 59 names that we are sitting with, meet that requirement, that precedent that was set by Pakwa, Mushwana and Madonsela. And on the list of nominees, can you tell us whether there are any other, people with other skills besides the legal aspect, doctors, scientists? Have any other odd nominations come from people of other professionals?
We're making an again. I just need clarity, Chairperson, on what exactly are you guys putting on the website? Is it just the names of these people? Is their names, CVs, and what else if there is more information that you're putting out? But also, what is it that is expected from the public? To write to the committee to say what? We object because, what is it that you want the public to say? And how is that going to be done? Is it just through email? Is there going to be through the post office? Can you just give us more details on that process then?
Hi, Chelsea from the Cape Argus. I just wanted to ask about the shortlisting process. I know you said it's difficult to give a date at the moment, but is there sort of a range by when we can expect that shortlist to come out? And also, is there a number of names that you're expecting to be on that shortlist, or will it just depend on what the options are? Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Koza, I'm rather enjoying your answers, so I'm going to take a little liberty here and check a rumor with you, if you don't mind. Were you part of any meeting in the office of Deputy Minister of Justice John Jeffrey, your fellow Maritzburger, regarding this process or not? A meeting in the office of the Deputy Minister of Justice, Mr. John Jeffrey, on this process.
Chairperson, I think I'm also enjoying your answers. I think my answer, you have answered it in your introduction earlier on, but being this good chairperson, can you confirm if the judge of the Cape High Court, Judge Siraj, has made it through to the list? Thanks.
Chair, when you are ready. Yeah. All right, let's go.
Well, I can confirm that the number of applicants or nominees they have the legal qualification. However, we must remember that we are also acting in terms of the Act. The Act does list the judge although it's not necessarily in the hierarchical order, but just by having the judge on top, then you have the advocate, the attorney, then, and the member of parliament with 10 years cumulative experience. One would say that, there is some emphasis that is placed on the legal qualification, but yet it's not necessarily an exclusive qualification. There are other aspects that you need to consider. And I must also say that, there are other skills that are required in this particular position. It's one of the things that came up this morning in my engagement with civil society this morning is that communication is actually one of the key aspects of this position. Because you can have a very good person, but if that person is not able to communicate effectively or is not able to manage stakeholders effectively, then that position might be, kind of compromised in the process. And the work may not be known whether that person is effective or not. So I would really say that there are a number of other aspects being involved, probably experience as well in investigative experience or something like that might also be something that the committee may have to consider. However, I am saying this to you because I'm merely at this stage, remember, I'm just being guided by the Public Protector Act of 1994. What it says. When you look at that number of people, and I'm sure once you have the list of the people that you have there, you will agree with me when I say almost over 90% of those people do meet the minimum requirement in terms of the act. So it's going to up to the committee what other aspects that we are going to be putting more weighting on in order to emerge with the list that is credible, the list of the people that are going to be competent in this particular position. So I would rather say to you, we will have to wait for that process. But from the chairperson's point of view, I am saying the number of applicants that we have received, indeed, over 90% of them meet the legal requirements. They have some kind of legal qualification. The other question is around the CVs. The CVs are going to be, it's going to be all the information that we receive. In fact, what we have done, we have uploaded the CVs as they are. The only thing that we only deleted, if I'm not mistaken, was just the ID, the cell phone number, and I think the number of dependents, that type of information. Otherwise, everything else is there. And however, I have said it to the staff, if there are organizations that want the ID number, they should, I have authorized them to make it available if they wanted to further check that candidate. So I think that one is clear. Jan, you are asking me whether I have been part of a meeting where John Jeffries was. Yes, John Jeffries is my hometown person, okay? But I've never been, fortunately for me, I haven't seen John Jeffries for some time now. Ever since I got appointed as the chair of this ad hoc committee, I've never met John Jeffries. You can go and do your own research, whatever, investigate me, whatever, I can tell you. And by the way, you must understand one thing. I am not a pushover. And I don't like people to think that I'm just here simply to, I have also to make sure that I oversee the process, but ultimately, it's going to be the National Assembly as well that will make the decision. It's not going to be Makosi Khoza's decision. I am only presiding over a process of nominating a person to be recommended or to be nominated for the National Assembly to consider. And that person must get 60% votes, from minimum of 60% votes from the National Assembly. And the final person who has to make that call is the president, because even the National Assembly will vote on the person, and the president will then make the official appointment. So I'm saying to you, as much as possible, I am trying to open up. And another thing that you must also be appreciating, from this office, and I am proud to say I am a member of the ANC, and I still stand by the policies of the ANC. Whether other practices or whatever, that's something else altogether. But in terms of the policies, yes, I still stand by that. And you must remember that this whole thing of public participation is something that is as the party, we are also custodians of public participation. And as much as possible, that is why I have sought to engage with civil society. I've sought to make myself available for interviews and answer the questions or allay some of the fears that they have. You were asking me about whether Judge Desai has applied, has been nominated. Yes, he has been. He is one of the people, one of the 59 that are going to be in this list. There are also a number of other people that are there, and I'm not sure why you are picking on him alone, but there are people that have been nominated. You can ask me about some of them. If I can, I will be able to explain. Fortunately for me, I don't even know him in person. I just know his name from this and from reading in the papers, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Chair. I think there was a question by Andy Siwe. I don't want to speak for her. I think if she can raise that question again.
The part about what is it that is expected from the public, to say we object and give reasons and evidence, or what is it?
No, I'm sorry about that. What we are expecting from the members of the public, number one, is for them to raise any comments, objections, or any issues that they think the ad hoc committee must take into account when shortlisting or when interviewing the candidates. And the way that is going to happen, Bonani, I spoke to my secretariat this morning, and as they told you, I've been very thorough with them, because I said, how are they going to put in their comments? I'm told that there is going to be, the way it's going to work, you will be able to click and actually make those comments. But one thing that we are saying is very important is that any member of the public who is raising an objection, we would like them to disclose who they are, so that we are not, acting on some faceless people. We wanted to make sure that we are authenticating the objection. Secondly, I have already said it's very important for you to note that an objection does not automatically lead to a disqualification. We will also have to do our own due diligence to make sure that the objection is in fact valid before we can disqualify a candidate. And I think I think all of you will agree with me that this process must be fair to everyone. It must be fair to the candidates as much as it is fair. It has to be fair to the public at large. Thank you.
Okay, there was a question from Chelsea regarding the shortlisting process. I'm not sure, Chair, if you want to deal with that now, because she wanted to know the process that would lead to that.
No, I've already said that this is a multi-party process. The shortlisting of candidates, yes, I will be presenting my own report, which emanates from all the public engagements that I've been having to the committee. I will make the recommendations to the committee, and the committee will then decide on those recommendations. So at this stage, we have not worked out a criteria other than the fact that initially you must meet the basic requirements that are stipulated in the legislation. Once you meet those, then we look at other ways. Hence, I said there will be a special committee meeting that will be called, where all the members of the ad hoc committee will be required to be there, so that we can decide on how best we move forward with this process. And the good news is, parliamentary committee meetings are open to the members of the public. So you will be there and you can make your own judgment. But this is a multi-party process, and it is going to be something that all the parties will have to apply their minds on. Thank you.
We are about to close, colleagues. I see Abra is burning and Gate. These are the last two hands, colleagues. Abra.
I just need confirmation of when exactly we're going to get the list, because I don't know if some of my colleagues have the list already, but it's not on the website yet, and I definitely don't have it. So can we just be told when exactly we're going to get it, please?
Can Bonani distribute? You know, the thing is, Bonani, you are not going to defy me in front of all these people. Distribute the list. Distribute the list, the copies that you have, please just distribute the list.
No, actually, I have the list here on my laptop. It's just that, you know, when Temba sent it to me, I was already my way here. So those who have the, you know, anyway, you can come to me, I can email it to you even just after this, this meeting.
Yeah. I think colleagues, to allay your concerns, I think for your ease as well, is that the list will be contained in the statement that would follow after this briefing. So the list will be there, Lester, don't worry. Okay.
Thanks, Chair. Just on the question of the shortlisting, obviously you need to look at a number of people who you're going to shortlist. You've got the interview set down for one day, the 10th. What size shortlist? Are you looking at 10, 15, 20, less? And are you going to be able to do all those interviews on the one day, or are you planning to run them over further days? Thanks.
Well, I'm unable to give you a definite answer on how many people are going to be shortlisted. That is going to be the decision of the ad hoc committee. We are looking at having the interviews after the elections, after the August 3 elections. And it's important that we also, I do need to say to you, in as much as I have said any time around the 10th, I don't want you to pin me down on the 10th, because it may happen even earlier or even after the 10th. That would be subject to the availability of members. That date, I think, will be confirmed with you after the special ad hoc committee meeting that will be called after the 8th of July. Thank you.
Okay. Colleagues and guests, thank you very much for honoring this briefing. As the chairperson said, we will continue engaging you. Thank you very much.